Everybody, welcome. This is Jason Clemens, Doctor of Chiropractic at the Rock Health and Wellness Center, and this is Life with Jason Clemens, DC. We are live right here from the Rock Health and Wellness Center studios in Lubbock, Texas. We're on 98.7 Walk by Faith Radio, 1420 AM, 987radio.com, anywhere in the world. We're on our social media pages at the Rock Health and Wellness Center on Facebook. We're on YouTube at Health from the Rock, and we're on X at Jason Clemens, DC. This is Wednesday, May 28th. I hope you guys are doing great. I had so many great conversations today with patients. We've been busy since 7:30 this morning. Had new patients, had shockwave patients, had consults on knee problems and all kinds of stuff going on today. And it was just, all day long, I just kept thinking about, man, this would be a cool conversation to talk about tonight. This would be a cool conversation to talk about tonight. And so that's what we got on tap for you tonight. We got all these conversations that, they're so deep. Some of these conversations are so deep in the learning and what we can find and what we can do. And so, and then I saw a beautiful picture, and that's what we're going to get started with tonight, is a beautiful picture that I saw on Instagram. Dr. Mark Hyman, you guys know Dr. Mark Hyman, mentioned him a lot. I was looking at a page on Instagram and that he posts on reading labels. And so I thought, hey, that's really cool. So I want to give him all the credit for this particular thing we're going to look at. But I thought we would start with that, and then we would get into some of those conversations that I had today, because it's going to be really cool, I think. It is just so amazing. It's so amazing what we think we know about our health, and it's so amazing what we really don't know about our health. Those two things at the same exact time are going on. So you can, we'll get there. I'll get there in just a second because it's going to be cool. Hey, if you want to send me a text at 806-794-0400. That's our text line, 806-794-0400. If you want to leave me a message on social media, I'll be glad to visit with you about anything there. And otherwise, let's get started. So let's start off with this picture I just saw that Dr. Hyman was talking about, reading labels. And he just he made some boxes over here to the side of a label that you might be interested in. Like and it's tricky. Some of these labels are tricky. So first of all, when we're eating healthy foods, we're not reading labels. There's not, the healthiest foods that we can eat. When you go, when you eat a steak, it's just a steak. I mean, the label is going to be whether or not it's grass-fed or not, right? Or free-range chickens, or, grass-finished animals, or whatever. Those are the things you're looking for on a label. But you're not really, when you're eating an apple, you're not reading the label of an apple. If you're eating anything, that's fresh produce, if you're eating sweet potato, it's not going to have a label. So when you get into labels, you got to watch out. And Dr. Hyman does a great job. And this is right off of his page on Instagram. So I'm sharing that with us tonight. But he says what to pay attention to on nutritional facts panel. Number one, the serving size. Very tricky sometimes. So whatever this thing is that he was using this label for, says the nutritional facts panel is dependent on serving size and servings per container. So when you look up right underneath the nutrition facts, the first thing to look at is the serving size is number one, and then 8 servings per container would be the number 2 thing to look at. So the serving size in this particular, and I have no idea what this food is, right? But in this particular example, the serving size is 2/3 of a cup. But inside the container is 8 servings per container. And that's tricky. It's like sometimes when you look at like sodas or whatever, in like this particular can, the serving size is 1 can. But if you get a 20-ounce drink, then it might be totally different. We could look that up right quick, and I'll look at it real quickly and see. 20 ounce Coke. See if I can get an image of this and see if I don't actually know what the serving. Yeah, on this, as one particular one, says serving size 1 bottle. Yeah, so but sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes it might say serving size is, 2.5 servings or something. Let me look on this other one. Yeah, 1 bottle. So those are pretty good. Those two that I just saw right there on a 20-ounce Coke, it says 1 bottle. So you kind of got to know, what you're getting into, and it's based on the ounces too. So if we had a like a Dr. Pepper here, then this particular little bitty deal of Dr. Pepper is 7.5 fluid ounces. So you can't say, hey, there's only 25 carbs. This particular one has 24 total sugars. We'll look at those in just a second. But in the example we're looking at tonight, we're looking at the serving size plus the number of servings per container. And it's good to know because you want to make sure that when you're looking, if you ate that whole box, there's lots of times in my life I've done that, right? Like if I had a bag of chips or something, or a box of cookies, or whatever, the box of whatever that it might have been back in the day. It's like the serving size was 4 chips or whatever. It's like, dude, I never ate 4 chips in my whole life. Like not unless there was only 4 chips left, right? So we got to look at that, because in this particular case, he points out that if you had 8 servings of 2/3 of a cup, that's basically 5 1/3 cup. Remember the good old math, right? 8 over 1 times 2 over 3. And so you get 16 over 3. And then divide 3 into 16, you get 5 1/3. So if you were looking at this, the calories is the next thing on the list here. The calories is 230 calories, but it's 230 calories for 2/3 of a cup. It's not 230 calories for the entire container. It's 230 calories times 5.3 from a total standpoint right there, right? So your calories would be over 1,000 calories if you were way over 1,000 calories if you were to eat that whole box of that. And then you come down here in the total carbohydrates, and there's a couple of issues with total carbohydrates, because one of the responses I read was a doctor that said, hey, look, if you're dosing insulin, and I've got it queued up for us if we ever get here. We're talking about insulin. And that's the 2 things that we talked about. We said last night, what are the 2 things that you can do to keep yourself healthy? If you just were going to do 2 things, what would the 2 things be? Number 1, control your insulin. Number 2, control your 6:3 ratio. So, and I'm going to look down here. I'm going to look at 2 different things. I'm going to look at total carbohydrates. There's 37 grams of carbohydrates in this particular serving, 2/3 of a cup. Now think about that, how small. I don't even know what this is, right? But that's a small serving of 2/3 of a cup of anything. Like it's not going to last very long. So there's 37 grams of there's 296 carbs in this particular food. 37 grams times 8. So you got to make sure that if you're trying to look at it and you want to read that you totally understand that. If you eat more than 2/3 of a cup, you got to multiply times how many 2/3 of a cup you ate. Like I can't even tell you last time I had a bowl of Lucky Charms or something like that. Like, it was, my dad used to say it all the time. He's like, my milk and my cereal are not equaled out. I ate a bowl of cereal and I got too much milk left over. And it's like I got to add some more cereal. And then I added some more cereal, and then I didn't have enough milk. And then so I had to add some more milk. The life of chubby people is what this show ought to be called. Like that's exactly, come on, man. Like what in the heck is that? It's like, it's been 3 years since I've had a bowl of cereal. So I'm not, this is not my new life. It's my old life. But in my old life, it was that way. It was like, okay, well, just add some more and then add some more milk and then add some more. I might end up eating that whole entire box. Like I might eat a half a box of, or three quarters of a box of Lucky Charms. Just sit down and just eat. Leslie say, "Hey, let's have cereal for supper." I'm like, "Okay, we'll have cereal." And then what are we going to have? I'm not. It's like it. It was Lucky Charms or Frosted Flakes or Cookie Crisp or Kicks. Is that a thing? Yeah. Captain Crunch, whatever it is. Like it's like all of it's toxic, refined stuff, right? So it's not, well, it's 37 grams of carbs. That's a lot. 37 grams of carbs, and you look at the total protein, 3 grams, and it's this is not healthy. Dietary fiber, they say you can subtract the fiber off of the total carbohydrates, so it'd really be 33 grams. I need to break that down. We need to have a show on that. Probably need to write that down somewhere, send a text to myself, because I really want to know what the mechanism is behind that. I want to know exactly what does that mean that I can subtract that dietary fiber off that carbohydrate. I understand what dietary fiber is. I understand that there's a digestive process going on that maybe it slows down the carbohydrate consumption or absorption into the body, but you're high right there. Then you get into total sugars, included added sugars. So Dr. Hyman says total sugars, this contains sugars that are naturally present in the food plus the added sugars. So when you get total sugars, so like if you're having honey, you might look on there. It may have, I don't even know what it would be on honey, but it's going to say what total sugar is going to be a lot, and then added sugar is going to be nothing. There's not going to be any, but you're going to have a lot of total sugar. The added sugar, it says, pay attention to this. I can't stress this enough. Added sugars are the enemy, and you want this number to be as low as possible. Ideally, there will be 0 grams of added sugar per serving. And then you can go through the list. The worst is anything over 5 grams. This is according to Dr. Hyman. 3 to 5 grams of added sugar is bad. 1 to 3 grams of added sugar is better. And 0 to 1 grams of added sugar is the best. And those are things that you look on when you're looking at the label. So you're going to get the sodium numbers, that's the salt. You're going to get the cholesterol and the fat. But if you really want to know what causes you to be fat, if you don't understand that, it's the carbohydrates, it's not the fat. It's the carbohydrates. Think about it for a second. Think about this in the cattle industry, okay? Where do you send a cow at the end of its life before it goes to the slaughterhouse? Where does the cow go? And it goes to a feedlot, right? And I'm not bashing ranching, okay? I'm just talking about the process, okay? Where does a cow go? It goes to a feedlot. What do they feed a cow in a feedlot to help a cow gain weight and get fat? Do they feed them butter? Do they feed them lard? You ever heard of that? You ever heard of them feeding cattle in a feedlot lard or some sort of fat? No. They do not feed them fat to make them fat. They feed them carbohydrates. What do they feed them? They feed them corn and cottonseed and soy. They feed them carbohydrates to make them fat. And they feed them a lot of omega-6s in that process because it's cheap. So if you were thinking about what makes an animal fatter, now they can eat grass and get fat. I've seen it done. I've seen the horses get fat on eating grass all day long. They eat it all day long. But and there's still carbohydrate in the grass, but this refined grain is what they feed them. So if you think about what makes us gain weight, what is it that makes us gain weight? It's the carbohydrate and the sugar that makes us gain weight. And what does it go back to on our number one thing that we need to take care of? What we need to take care of is our insulin. What makes our insulin go up? What makes our insulin go up is excess energy substrate. the increase in glucose in the bloodstream makes our insulin go up. When we eat sugar, there's two things that happen. Man, I want to talk about this, but I'm early. Um, I'm not going to talk. I've got something going on. I'm still in the process of working it out, so I'm not going to talk about it yet. But we were talking about eating sugar this weekend, and we were talking about sugar substitutes, and we were talking about stevia and monk fruit and erythritol and like sweet and low and saccharin and all that sort of thing. And it's like, if I was going to get rid of all of the sugar substitutes, if I was going to get rid of any of those, including stevia, if I was going to get rid of all of those sugar substitutes, what would I drink? What would I use for a sweetener? And in my coffee and my tea. And I was like, well, I don't want to put the sugar in there. I don't want to put the sugar. I don't want to drink. Number one, I don't want to drink my calories. Right? What is the calorie content? What's the sugar in this tiny little can of Dr. Pepper? Right? There's 25 grams of sugar. Total sugars is 24 grams, including 24 grams of added sugar. What did they add? Now you got to go to the ingredients list: carbonated water, high fructose corn syrup, caramel, color, phosphoric acid, natural and artificial flavors, sodium benzoate as a preservative, caffeine, and that's it. Okay, where's the sugar? It's in the high fructose corn syrup. The high fructose corn syrup is 24 grams of added sugar in this 7.5 ounces of a can. Here's the issue. There's a couple things that's going to happen with the sugar. Number one, it's going to feed the bad bacteria in the gut, and I'm going to get sick. That's what we're going to talk about on the second half of the show, because I have a great story to tell you tonight about that being sick. But I told Leslie, I was like, I'm not going to add sugar. I'm not going to add sugar to the tea. You know what this is? It's organic green tea, decaffeinated green tea, and you got to be careful with decaffeinated. It's organic decaffeinated green tea with lime. That's what's in the red Solo cup. Squeeze the lime in there. Okay, I'm not going to put, if I'm not going to use stevia, then I'm not going to put sugar. And I was like, I'm not going to put sugar in there because, number one, it's going to feed the crackhead bacteria in my gut, and it's going to increase the chances of decreasing my immune response, and it's going to increase the chances of me getting sick. I haven't been sick in 3 years. I've gone through 2 of these bad winters. I still haven't been sick. And I'm not going to mess up my gut. I'm not going to change the microbiome in my gut by adding sugar into my drink if I'm not going to use stevia. Okay? I'm working on that. So, but the other thing is, now when we add the added sugar, we increase the glucose absorption, we increase the glucose in the bloodstream, and now when we increase the glucose in the bloodstream, we got to do something with that glucose. We got to get it out of there. So we release insulin into the bloodstream to get it out of there. That's what's coming from, is right there. The carbohydrate load is the insulin level. That's what the doctor that made the comment said. Hey, look, if we're going to dose insulin to a diabetic person, like an insulin pump, it's based on the number of carbohydrates, not just the number of sugars. Because you've got 37 grams of carbohydrates here, minus the 4 in the fiber, will give you 33 grams of carbohydrates, but you only have 10 grams of added sugar. So you've got 23 grams of carbohydrates in the food itself. So, and that's in 2/3 of a cup. If you eat 2 servings of that, you got to double all that right there. And now that's going to make your insulin go up really quickly. And when it makes your insulin go up really quickly, then we're going to get trouble. And any of that excess glucose is going to be stored in the fat cell as fat. Because now it's like we got all we need. We've got enough for the brain. We've got enough for the body. And it's like we're going to put it in the muscles. The muscles are full. Like, all right, fine. We're going to put it in the fat. And that's what we're looking for. So I hope everybody gets that. You understand that whole thing. And So we'll go from there. All right. I'm going to stop with that, and I'm going to move on. So this is going to be great, and I want to say this: I'm not picking on anybody, okay? I'm not picking on anybody, but I got a text from an employee this morning. We started at 7:30, so I got this text early, 6 something, and it was he said, "Hey, I must have gotten something. I must have been exposed to something because I'm congested, I have a fever, and I feel pressure, and so, but I can still come to work if you need me to," which is great. I'm very proud of him. I'm very proud of him for saying that he could do that. That he could come to work, and I was like, all right. I said, how high is your fever? I knew the answer was going to be no, but I said, I just wanted to know, how high is your fever? So he told me the fever was 101.7, 101.2 maybe this morning at 7 o'clock. 101.5 at 7 o'clock this morning. So I said, all right, hey, don't worry about it. Because the rule that we have here at the Rock Health and Wellness Center is this: if you have a fever, you don't need to be here. If I have a fever, I'm not coming to work. If I'm sniffling, or if I've got an allergy or something like that, but I don't have a fever, then I'm fine with it, as long as I'm not sniffling so much that I drip on somebody, which is gross, right? I don't want to do that. So, but if I don't have a fever, then I'll come to work. But and it's really strange for me, to be quite honest with you, because growing up on a ranch and then going into athletics and going into coaching for the first 29 years of my life, like you just went to work. And I know a lot of you do that. You just go to work, right? But in a healthcare office, in a wellness facility, it's not fair to the people that come in here to expose you to something if I've got a fever. Because if I have a fever, what does that mean? That's the question we're going to answer tonight, right? So I said, get some rest. We'll check on you in the morning, meaning tomorrow. Just go to sleep. What would you do if you got a fever? Well, I'll tell you what I do if I get a fever. I go home, I put on my sweats, I put on a sweatshirt, I get underneath the covers, and I try to get my fever as high as possible. That's what I do. I'm not making recommendations for you. I'm not telling you how to handle a fever. I'm simply saying that based on my knowledge about fevers, what it says 101.5. I just seen it be 102.5 or 103. Just like, get up there. I want it to be hot. I don't want it to I don't want 100.1 fever. It's like, come on with it. Let's get hot. So I'm going to go home. I'm going to take nothing to get that fever down, and I'm going to make sure that my immune system kills whatever has gotten in. It's a bacteria or a virus, right? That's what's going on. So I recommended that he go home. Just get in bed and get some rest, and we'll check on him in the morning. Don't worry about it. That's the best thing. So then at 12:40, I get another text, and it said, I called First Stop Health, and they prescribed me a steroid for what they think is a viral infection. I was able to get the fever down to normal. This is bad for my leadership in my building. I should make my employees watch my show like you guys are doing right now, right? I'm like, okay, oh my gosh. Like, I called this is 12:40, right? I just got finished sending him this text at 6:47. And then at 12:40, he sends me this text. I called First Stop Health, and they prescribed me a steroid for what they think is a viral infection. I don't understand personally why that is not malpractice. I do not understand in the world we live in today, other than the fact that it's America and you could do what you want, right? Whatever. Like, you could just run a drug factory online, or or on the phone. Like you could, that's a thing that you guys do. Like you can actually do that. I wouldn't know that because I don't have any idea. Like, but I was like, what? You can call. What is that? What is First Stop Health? So I had Leslie look it up, and then I it was like I asked him, what is First Stop Health? Later on in the text right there, it says it's an app where I can call a doctor at any time. I get it with my dad's insurance. And I said, what steroid did they just prescribe to you? And it was prednisone. Okay. So bless his heart. He's trying hard. I'm proud of him for trying hard. He's trying to get back to work. And, but we're going to break this down. We're going to break it down on the other side. We got to take a break. On the other side of the break, we're going to break down the text that I sent to him, and then we're going to break down what's going on with him. And I want you to see it to help you live a healthier life. That is insanity to me right there. I'm like, golly, you can. It's a, what does he say? It's an app. Let's see. It's an app, or I can call the doctor at any time. I just call the doctor. I know I'm behind the times. I sound like an old person or something, but it's crazy to me that the doctor didn't see you. Like you were at work yesterday, and all of a sudden you're like on prednisone. Like, holy cow. You got to stick around. This is Life with Jason Clemens, DC. We'll be right back. We'll break this down on the other side. I promise by the time this show's over, you'll be healthier. I'm going to wait just a second and let our radio listeners get through their commercials, and then we'll go ahead and finish this on the other side. Maybe you guys maybe you guys do that stuff, right? Do y'all do that? Do y'all have a telephone doc that you could just call anytime you want to and just get some prednisone, like for your fever? Why do you do that? Because you don't feel, you can't stand to feel bad, right? That's what we do. We're in a society. He left here yesterday. He worked till 2:00 yesterday or so, 1:30, and then this morning he calls with a fever, and it's like, okay, well, whether it's his fault or not for getting the fever, I'm not going to blame him for that, right? He's got a fever, so go to bed. That's part of life. You just got to go to bed and get over it, right? And he doesn't know it. He's a young kid. He doesn't know it. He's just raised in a house like all the rest of us were raised in. We're just like, well, I have a fever. So I must be sick. I must take medicine. I must take some medicine. When we get finished, as soon as this commercial's over, we're just, and we've broken it down before, but we're going to break it down again tonight. And I want you to see for yourself exactly what that means. I really do. I want you to see it. Like what is the mechanism of what happened to this kid, and what did he do in the middle? What did he just get right in the middle of? And man, I never looked more forward to to a commercial to be over. It's like, hey, if you got any comments or questions or whatever, send them to us. Send us a message on any of the social media. I should be able to get it tonight. I might be the only person left on earth that doesn't understand that you can call a doctor and get prednisone. Like, it's crazy. Okay, everybody, we're back. This is Life with Jason Clemens, DC. We're breaking down the process of getting a fever and what do you do about it, okay? So, he sent me the text. I called First Stop Health. They prescribed me a steroid for what they think is a viral infection. They don't have any idea. They don't have any idea what he's got. They don't know if he has a viral infection or a bacterial infection. Like, what if he had a bacterial infection? Like, what if he had a viral infection? What does prednisone do to that? Right? Like, why would that be the thing that we want to do? Because here's the deal. And don't act like those guys at First Stop Health don't know. Most of those guys that are playing behind that teledoc crap, they don't want to compete in the world anyway. So they're going to sit back behind the phone and they're just going to take these phone calls and they're just going to shell out all these drugs. And it comes from the pharmaceutical industry. Is there anything wrong whatsoever with having prednisone? Is there any damaging effects to having a prednisone? And what does prednisone do for a viral infection? Right? It's like, okay. And I sent him a text after he told me that. He said, I called First Stop Health and they prescribed me a steroid for what they think is a viral infection. I was able to get the fever down to normal. All right, stop. What's happening? What is the immune response? Right? What is going on in the body that caused the body to have a fever? That's the first question we ought to ask. If we really want to know something about health, that's the question we ought to ask. So all I did was I just Googled it and I just said the immune response to a virus. And I got this right off the National Library of Medicine. So this is the best we got in America, right? Right here. So the NIH, immune responses to viruses, from Clinical Immunology, 2009, May 15th. Probably, I don't even know, but PhDs or MDs or something. So, viruses as obligate intracellular parasites. A virus is a parasite. Require their host to replicate them and to facilitate their spread to others. The virus, let's just say it was a virus. We don't know, but we're just going to say that it was a virus, okay? I've got the wrong thing. Let me share this. All right. So the virus is going to join our body. It's going to come into our system and it's going to join our body. And I got a fly in here. I hope I don't mess y'all up, or mess me up. Okay. In humans, viral infections are rarely lethal, even if they are highly cytolytic to individual cells, like they break up the individual cells. And I'm going to move down here to the bottom. Access to target tissue presents numerous obstacles for entry and infection by most human viruses. Most effective of these are the mechanical barriers provided by the skin, the mucosal surfaces, as well as chemically hostile environment of the gut. The chemically hostile environment of the gut has to do with the amount of acid in the gut. How's that virus going to get into my body? If the virus is on my skin, it's not causing any issue at all. If the virus is on the outside of me and it's not able to get into my cells, then the virus is not causing me a problem, right? So that virus, what is the virus trying to do? First of all, it's alive. Viruses are really hard to understand. It's like a little tiny piece of yarn, or maybe even like a piece of thread would be the thing that's in a little capsule. And it needs the capsule to bind with a cell. And then it needs that to open up, kind of like you've seen, like if someone's going to get on a space station or whatever, or on a submarine or whatever. Like you have a docking station with the space station, and then the people on the inside of the space station have to open up one door, and the people on the outside of the space station have to open up the other door that docked, and then there's like the little tunnel between the two of them, right? And then now they can go from their spaceship into the space station through there. Same thing in like a submarine or something. If it's underwater, they got or boat, whatever. It's got the two docking stations. We've seen those before, right? We know what those are. That's what a virus is going to do. The virus is going to attach to the cell, and then it's going to open up and it's going to slide into the cell, and then it's going to hijack the cellular components inside the cell in order to um, take over. So here's the cell, and then here's the little virus, and then inside that's the capsule, and then we got the little virus inside the capsule, and then now that little thing's going to dock, and that's going to connect on both sides with it inside, and that's going to open up right here, and now it's going to dump that virus into the cell, and that virus is going to hijack this cell to replicate itself, and then it's going to send itself back out to the body. Okay? So if we were to say that this is a virus, and your body created 101 temperature to deal with this virus, why would that happen? Why would that happen? What is the mechanism that's going on right there? Well, let's read a little more. Immune system response. Access to target tissue, right? All these things. We got to the gut. A number of common human viral pathogens enter through the gastrointestinal tract. We can go through those. These are usually spread via person-to-person contact or contaminated food or water. Respiratory infections caused by influenza viruses, coronaviruses, measles viruses, all those usually they're in your respiratory tract, right? But that's what's going on. We're getting attacked by this little virus. What is the virus looking for? The virus is looking for an environment that's 98.6 degrees. That's what the virus is looking for. Why is it inside of you? Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought about why is a virus inside my body? What is this little dude looking for? Why did this guy of the entire universe that this virus could be in, why is he inside of me? Why did he docked with me? Why does he want to be inside of me? You know what he loves? He loves 98.6 degrees. It's comfortable in here. We can go to work in here. This is a great place to be. This is an awesome environment for me to spread myself out, to replicate myself. Survival mechanism is what that virus is doing. And it loves 98.6 degrees. Okay? Oh, sorry. I didn't give you the window right there. It loves the 98.6 degrees. It's trying to find a place where it can live and survive and replicate and just keep on going. That's what it's trying to do. So it's going to get into the body. It's going to dock into the body. And then what is going to happen? Let's see if we can. Viral infections induce an extensive array of defense mechanisms in the host. Innate defenses come into play to block or inhibit initial infection. That's why I'm not going to eat sugar. See, the sugar messes up this initial ability to block or inhibit the initial infection. And you know what he said? He said, because he told me I was able to get the fever down to normal. And I said, you should research that and break down how that was able to happen. How were you able to get the fever down to normal? Okay. And he said, well, I was hanging out with someone over the weekend, and so I think he got me sick. That's what we're told, right? I think he got me sick. I was hanging out with someone that was sick, and I think he got me sick. My dadgum friend got me sick. My kids bring home that crap from school, or my wife got me sick. She was sick, or whatever. Whatever the thing is. You know what's amazing? In 3 years, I haven't been sick. I've been seeing patients every day for 3 years, and a lot of those patients have been sick. I saw one guy that on Tuesday, I didn't see him. I didn't see him Monday. I was going to say he's got COVID today. It's like I saw him Thursday of last week, but now he's been tested for COVID, and he'll get over that and he'll be fine. But there's a lot of people that come in here sick. I think he got me sick. You know what? I quit taking. I quit. It was a liberating day in my life when I finally realized I'm the one that's getting me sick. It's not the other person getting me sick. Where is that virus going to when that virus gets into my tract, when the virus gets into my gut, the virus gets into my intestinal tract. You know what's inside of there? It's a microbiome full of Marines in there. It's not a bunch of crackheads in there that I've been feeding sugar to. That's what happened to me when I got COVID in 2021. I went to Vegas and ate ice cream for 4 days and came home and got sick because I fed the food to the bacteria in my gut that didn't care anything about keeping me healthy. They're just a bunch of crackhead bacteria. So what do? They don't care anything about trying to keep this virus out of my system. But the viral infection induces an extensive array of defense mechanisms in the host. Innate defenses come into play and block and inhibit the initial infection to protect cells from infection or to eliminate virus-infected cells, and occur well before the onset of adaptive immunity. The innate immune defenses are initiated via pathogen recognition. I won't get into all that stuff. Let me move down. Because I could just tell you, instead of reading it, because you guys know it's going to be the answer. What are we going to get? Instead of going through this whole article, let's just break it down on the whiteboard. It'd be way more fun to do that anyway. All right. That virus has now docked with the cell. We got our cell. We got our virus, our envelope. We got our virus that's in the inside of it right there. But it's trying to do that. Before it even got there, or even as it got there, it has created an immune response. I have an immune response. And we're just going to be very simple and just call them white blood cells. We're going to get an immune response from white blood cells that we are fixing to get over here, and we're fixing to go to war with that little bad boy right there. We're going to attack the crap out of that virus. That's what we're going to do right there. Our immune system is going to attack the crap out of the virus. Now, what do we know about the virus already? We know that the virus loves 98.6. Sorry. We know that the virus loves 98.6 degrees, our normal temperature, our normal body temperature. So if our immune system knows that they love that already, then what would be something we could do as a defense? Let me give you a great example. Let me give you an awesome example right here. This is old school football. Okay, this is Texas Tech defense in 1998 when we were number 8 in the country in defense. Okay, there is 1, 2, 3, 4 blockers that are right on this side, and we've got to be this I formation. That's too far over. That Mike linebacker is going to stand right there, and that Will linebacker is going to stand right there. Okay, there's 3 linemen, and there's 4. That's 4 blockers and a running back that could carry the ball right there. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders and a free guy on this side. You're not going to run the ball on the weak side. And every time Coach Goodner went to a seminar and he talked about where you ran the football, he would tell the whole entire world, we don't get weak side runs. He would go to the Angelo Football Clinic and speak in front of all the other coordinators, all the offensive coordinators in the Big 12, and he would tell them, we don't get weak side runs. You know why? We got them outnumbered on the weak side. We know they're not going to run the ball on the weak side because we got more people on that side than they have. And he would announce that to the entire world. We are stacked over here on the weak side. How did Zach Thomas get to be an All-American at Texas Tech? Because Zach Thomas knew the ball was going strong before the ball was snapped. That's how you play defense. But you know what the other team is going to do before they snap the ball. That's what good defenses do. You understand the tendencies. So what is a good defense in cell biology? What would an immune system do if it was playing good defense? What an immune system would do if it was playing good defense is it would know exactly what the other team wanted to do to start off with. It would want to, hang on. Okay. The white blood cell knows that the virus loves 98.6 degrees. So what is the white blood cell going to do? The white blood cell is going to send a signal to the brain to tell the brain to turn the temperature up. Turn the temperature up in this dude. Let's make it hot in here. Let's go do some hot yoga today. Right? Let's turn this dude up to 101.5. Why? Why would we turn it up at 6:47 a.m.? Why would the body turn the temperature up to 101.5? Because it's detected something in the system that's not supposed to be there, either a virus or a bacteria. And in this particular case, we're talking about a virus. It's detected that there's a virus right there. So what is it going to do? It's going to attack the virus. It's going to create an environment that is bad for the virus. It doesn't want the virus to have an advantage. So it wants to stop it right there. Turn up the temperature. It's the white blood cell that turned the temperature up. It's the white blood cell that gave us a fever. It's the white blood cell that is part of innate intelligence. Innate intelligence. That in my world is God inside my body. That's the Spirit of God that runs my body. Where did that white blood cell learn that? Where did the white blood cell learn to send a signal to the brain to turn up the temperature, the hypothalamus? Where did it send the signal to the brain in order to turn the temperature up to fight a virus? Are you telling me that happened over 30 billion years of evolution? Absolutely not. I don't believe that for 1 second. I don't believe that virus learned how to, that white blood cell learned how to increase that temperature any more than I believe that a baby learns to breathe on its first day. That baby doesn't learn how to breathe on the first day of life, or you learn how to breathe anytime, right? We didn't learn how to breathe on our first day. We didn't learn how to cry on our first day. We didn't learn how to poop and pee on our first day. That was innate intelligence. We didn't learn how to make a sperm cell and an egg cell match together and turn into a human being. We didn't learn how to grow fingers, and we didn't know how to put an immune system together. That's innate intelligence. Those scientific guys that don't believe in innate intelligence, to me, are missing the boat. That's more scientific than anything else. It's like it is the creation of the universe. That is right there. That system is as God as any church in West Texas. Any cross you want to put up, any Jesus anywhere. That right there is God's design, in my opinion. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to get fired up, but I'm just like, what in the heck is that doctor at First Stop Health or whatever the crap that is going to give my guy a prednisone for? Because here's what is the mechanism of prednisone. Like, well, let's just go look. Let's Google that. What's the mechanism of prednisone? NIH. Here we go, right here. Prednisone is a synthetic glucocorticoid converted in the liver to the active metabolite prednisolone. This agent, here's what it does. this agent exerts anti-inflammatory and immunosuppressive effects by modulating immune activity and reducing inflammation. Here, yeah, it exerts anti-inflammatory and immunosuppressive function. That's what prednisone does. I'm reading it right off the list right here, right? This agent exerts anti-inflammatory and immunosuppressive effects by modulating immune activity. By modulating immune activity, how's that work? How do you modulate immune activity? And why do you need to modulate immune activity? What if it was a virus? Where did the fever come from in the first place? The fever came from the virus. Why would we want to modulate that? We don't, because we can't stand to have a fever for more than 6 hours, 4 hours. And here's the deal. It's like, wait a minute, I took some prednisone and I got my temperature back to normal. What did you do right there? Here's what you did. This white blood cell is over here fighting its butt off to try to kill this virus. And what you did is you went over there and jacked up the mechanism that gives the white blood cell the ability. This is what you did. This white blood cell is over here fighting, and you went and took something that messed up the ability of the white blood cell to talk to the brain. And you think that's going to create some sort of health? Can you imagine? You ever been working on something and then somebody just comes and just messes with your stuff in the middle of while you're trying to work on something? It's like, get away from me. Like, what? I'm just going to go. We're in the middle of a battle. I'm just going to go take all the bullets away from the Marines. I'm going to say, you guys can't fight with this anymore. That's a good way to get killed right there. Like, that would be insanity to do something like that. But that's exactly what our medical system does. And that's exactly what they teach, and that's exactly the way they function every single day. That some doctor in a room somewhere. Why? For greed. What did he get to do? He get to diagnose my guy, and then he get to send him a prednisone, and then so now my kid goes, he pays for the service, first of all, in the insurance program, which is lobbied like heck. And then on top of that, he goes and gets the pharmaceutical from where? CVS or Walgreens? What do those people do? What are they selling all day long? They're selling crap to my guy who's trying to fight a virus off. It's my fault. It's not their fault. He's been here for over a year. I should have taught him better than that. But here's what he said to me. He said, I got my fever down back to normal. And I said, okay. And he said, so I think this kid got me sick. And I said, or your immune system was weak and you took the virus. He didn't give it to you. You took it. You allowed it into your system because you challenged your system in some form or fashion that caused your system to break down, right? And he said, yeah, it was probably that. And then he asked me, do you want me to come in at 2:15? No, dude, you're fighting a virus. And when I tell him, I said, no, sir, get some rest. Your fever will come back when the steroids wear off. What is the body going to do now? The body's going to, the white blood cell is going to pull its hair out. It's like, who in the heck turned the dadgum temperature back down to 98.6? When we're trying in the middle of this battle, who did that? So what do we have to do now? We have to send resources to try to figure out what in the heck is going on with prednisone. What is prednisone? Like the white blood cell, that's like the body is like, it's like now all of a sudden, it's like, what is prednisone? What is this thing that's happening? And so what happens? The body has to take the resources away from the fight to go get rid of prednisone. How long is that going to take? Hopefully not long. I don't even know. We're out of time anyway, so I can't look it up. But how long is it going to take before we get rid of the prednisone? How long is it going to take before we get rid of the Tylenol? How long is it going to take before we get rid of the ibuprofen? And then as soon as we get rid of the ibuprofen, what is going to happen to the fever? It's going to go right back up. The insanity is in so many levels with this. It's like, dude, let your fever kill the virus. Because what's happening now? Now we take away the ability of the immune system to function properly, and we give the virus the ability to get in here and start replicating and increasing our symptoms. And it's like now, instead of a 24, which it won't even last 24 hours mostly, most of the time it's about 12 to 18 hours of 101 fever. It's like now we're going to break that down, and it's going to kill that virus, get rid of it. We're going to be fine tomorrow. But not in this case. Now we're going to be 3-4 days trying to mess with this thing, all because we don't understand the mechanisms of what's going on in our body. And I appreciate the kid for sharing. He had no idea that he was going to be the entertainment this evening. Look, I'm not responsible for your drugs. I can't be the guy. I can't be that guy that sits in the office and gives out the drugs. I don't want to be, wouldn't even be in the first place, right? But I can talk about health. And we can talk about what the mechanisms of health are, and we can talk about what's going on in the body and how the body responds to viruses, because it's a health response. And that's what we're trying to do, is create health in the body. I hope that was great. I hope it was entertaining. If you have any questions about it, please send me a text. That's all I got for you tonight. I'm out of time. You guys have a great evening, and I'll see you tomorrow night at 6.